Yeah, tell us. Oh, you were
Go
live
ahead.
already.
Good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. Welcome you to this our 328th episode of Belizean Affairs. Sitting with me virtually as my co-hosts, Mr. Roody and Mr. Leonard Brackett. As you are well aware, before we proceed our program, we usually have a reading followed by a prayer. So I will go to you first, Mr. Wade.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to sit in your company, Leonard. It's a pleasure to sit in your company once more.
Pleasure is mine too, Mr.
Give
Wade.
thanks and praise to the Almighty for this day,
Amen.
as tomorrow is promised to no one. So I will obey your command there, Mr. Chairman, and I will go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1, 1 to 10. And it reads, the words of the preacher, the son of David, king of Jerusalem, vanity of vanities,
Extension of spirits.
says the preacher. Vanity is vanities,
Mhm.
all is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises at the, and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the stream flows, there they flow again. All things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eyes is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ears filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done.
Amen.
And there is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new? Is it has been already in the ages before us? That's my reading, Mr. Chairman. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, 1 to 10. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade, Mr. Brackett. Prayer, please.
Yes, sir. I'll just go ahead and bow my head. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would hear our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to thee for having given us, first of all, the privilege of life, and secondly, the opportunity to still be among our family members, friends, and loved ones. Please bless our family members, loving Father. You know them all by name and number. Please bless our friends and other loved ones as well. Please bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership. Please bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership as well. And I pray that thou mayest continue to bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in harm's way, who are being hurt for no justifiable reason sometimes, and those who have need of food, clothes, and shelter, those who are in the earthquakes and volcano eruptions and flooding and all manner of storms and disasters all over the face of this earth. The knowest our hearts, our desires, and our most secret thoughts, loving Father. Please continue to abide with us. And please bless this program as we deliver whatever we have to offer to Belizean people at home and abroad tonight. We ask this message in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Again, good night to you, the people at home and abroad. Tonight, I want to say that Emancipation Day was celebrated on the 1st of August. And while some people celebrated as to say they are free from the bondage of slave, I do not want to say that, especially in a country where you live and your politician is keeping its people, and I must say, a certain class of people in bondage.
Amen.
They have learned a lot from our colonial master. And even though we have human rights, our present government seems to have no issue when it comes to violating one's constitutional rights, especially when since 1981 on our independence, we the people made a choice to have a parliamentary democracy, a choice to elect a government to run our country, and a choice that should keep us, the people, as the ones who will deal with national security. And we can see that today slowly chipping away to authoritarian rule from our government. I want to go back to last year, and I want to play a video to hear what the past president of the Teachers Union had to say in the Senate concerning the Common Assault Bill. And the reason why I want to do that is I want to go from last year to present with the 13th Amendment, because I want to show you, the people at home and abroad, how the present government has been slowly chipping away at our rights to take over power from we, the people. Let's hear what Ms. Smith had to say.
And welcome to our colleagues this morning. Madam President, the NTUCB has a few concerns regarding this bill before us. And while, as everyone has said, I support the comments made by my colleagues, we feel that we are moving away somewhat from using or requiring proof for some of these things when we are looking at, for example, you can be held accountable if I hear that you say something or you say a bad word, as we call it, just by those persons, indicating that they heard me say these things. That can be problematic for me as an individual. That is the view of the NTUCB in terms of reviewing this bill before us, and we feel that while we understand the purpose of the bill, and while it is that we want to ensure that we are not encouraging our citizens, threatening others and doing all of these sorts of things, we have to be very careful that putting this portion in here is not going to affect people's right in terms of your right to freedom of speech. And that's a huge concern for us that we share as it relates to this bill. Again, Madam President, we do understand that we want to have a society that is disciplined, that has certain behavior. But there's a thin line here when we include these words such as whether directly or within hearing. That may create mischief. Because, for example, we were discussing that, let's say, for example, a police officer were to, hold you for something, in the process of arresting you for something. And maybe somebody else is shouting at you or telling you something while you are being transported, and, you may utter profanity. Might not be to the officer or about the officer, but it might be just that you're speaking to the other person who might be around. The NTUCB feels that can create some unnecessary issues. And so I think, again, the essence of what is here is supported. However, I think that this portion of this bill will create some issues in terms of people's freedom and people's rights. And so I don't know how we can look at that. In relation to the categories listed, yes, we do support those. I'm not sure about the elected official, because that's another matter again. How we view that and what it is that we are trying to, is it that we can no longer say certain things to elected officials, when we feel that they are not doing what they ought to be doing, because you have to be very careful what you say and how you say things, because you can be in trouble as well, right? And it's not just, we're going to be charged something, right? It's conviction to imprisonment for 3 years. So as union leaders, we all know that we are often in this back and forth, especially with government officials. And sometimes things do get heated. And if it is that, with Tada Miss Smith, they put me to shame, and Miss Smith putting things out there about us as a union leader, we'll deal with her now to utter these words. And I heard you say these things, so let's go. 3 years imprisonment, you can't do any more union function. So those are the concerns that we have, and we are to ensure that, in putting things in place, we don't infringe on our rights as Belizeans, as given to us by our Constitution. Thank you, Madam President.
People at home and abroad, and gentlemen, that was back in 2024. And now you heard what Ms. Smith had said. It has surpassed that, because when she was there standing up for our fundamental rights, today we are facing the 13th Amendment, which is way above what Ms. Smith was saying. And I want to say this, I must say this. This common assault bill was made to protect certain individuals like judges, magistrate, Coast Guard, BDF, the police, firemen, teachers. I am saying this to say I want to show again tonight how discriminative the government is, because in the making of this bill, they included custom officers, firemen, and teachers only to get this bill passed to suit themselves. And you will hear them mention it when I go to the next step. But first, let me go to you first, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Um, we on this program had stressed, a lot of times about, the unlawful acts of these parliamentarians. We had stressed about the illegal and the discriminatory laws that they had passed. Um, we had stressed about the authoritarian state and the police state that we are in. But the good lady there sums it all up also, along with what we've been talking about. And if you listen to her, she at the end she says even about the one that they're not so sure about is the item in there for ministers, elected officials. So there you go. You see their clear intention from 2024, right? They're slowly chipping away on our rights, slowly chipping away on our fundamental rights, and slowly chipping away and bastardizing our constitution, right? It's so sad to see the length that they are going for this new identity, and it doesn't stop there, Mr. Chairman. And I know you have a lot more to show and tell. This new identity is really shocking, and it's really something that Belizean should take heed to, because a lot of pain and suffering will come along with this new identity that this People's United Party is taking this country and the people, right? So, Mr. Chairman, we must be very, very mindful. I hope that, I had read a passage not too long ago that stay awake, open your eyes. That's all we can say in this through our program. We are putting it out there that the things that are happening and the things that is yet to come, because we see it. We see the clear intention with the help of the so-called opposition we have in this country. It's so sad, is that's what the taxpayers are paying for. That's what gets me. I could give a hoot about the politicians, individuals. I could care less about them. What I care about is what the taxpayers are paying for something that they're not getting from the so-called opposition. So that's why, Mr. Chairman, and let me finish real quick, this People's United Party with the super majority is doing and bastardizing the Constitution and doing everything possible to take us down that path to our new identity. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. But I have said it before, we are living with a designer system designed to keep the low-class people in poverty. And it has been run by this government as though the people is still living in colonialism. In fact, that is their intention, to make it more harsh by preventing the people of this country from having any efforts to go to a judge if their constitutional right has been violated. Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Uh, as regards to this bill that Ms. Smith was talking about, we can see that all those bills that they've been passing before then, up to that point, and even up to today's date, are all onerous bills. Bills that does not cater to the health and well-being and the best interests of the people, from whom they get these powers to operate as a government on our behalf, on the people's behalf, on the country's behalf. But as soon as they win the election and they get the ascension of powers, they go about doing their own business and to hell with the people's business. And that's the part that galls me, okay? Because I'm not saying that, well, there should be any better. I would hope that they would be better, but I'm not saying that they have to be any better than any other scoundrels, any other part of the world, because all over the world you have a bunch of scoundrels, always involved, filling up their pocket and chancing the public. But our Belize country is so small, our community is so small, we are less than 500,000 people. That's the number they keep throwing around all the time. And for the life of me, I can't understand how these guys, when they get elected, in one term they become millionaires. And I'm sure that their salary that they earn from the treasury based on their payroll does not afford them the chance to become any millionaires like that if they have to spend money to take care of their personal needs and other needs that they have to expend money for. But in one term, they become millionaires. And if they so happen to win for 2 terms, they become multi-millionaires. And if they win 3 terms, they become stinking multi-millionaires. In addition to the fact that they get the retirement for the rest of their life. So why do they have to treat our Belizean people that gives them this privilege to work on our behalf and for them to enrich themselves and to get fat like pigs, and they have no, how should I say it? Let me put it straight. They have no gratitude then to the people who are getting the opportunity. I mean, I say it in a different way, but let's go right directly to the point. Their expression of gratitude should be that they do the best they can. Like I said, they don't have to be perfect. Nobody's expecting them to perform miracles. But we damn well know that they can do a hell of a lot better than what they're currently doing, which is why people are clamoring. And the people keep voting them back into office over and over and over. And they keep doing the same thing as if to say, well, if you, the people, don't care about what we do, then why should we have to care? That's the attitude that these jackals then display. They're very daring and barefaced. And then when they don't, they turn around after the fact, like the Prime Minister the other day, after he don't run the election and he win the election, and everything was set, that the law suits them that was being put in place to try and get them to do the election preparation correctly. He laughed and scoffed at that because he said, okay, well, he and his advisors, Mr. Courtney and others, were sitting down around his table at his house on Boxing Day. So the idiots, they weren't just trying to box some food or put some food in some box to give away to people who were in need and never got no turkey or no ham for Christmas. They're not going to try box up for their leftovers to give the people. He invited his colleagues and then gone and make big time party and strategize and plan how they may force the whole process to get the March 13th date settled. And the real boxing, what the man they do instead of do on Boxing Day, instead of box some food for the people or put some food in some container boxes, the man they box we up. Okay? They may slap we up from right to left and center, and set we up. How they disabuse you of we rights. And then turn around and laugh at us and tell you exactly what they did, how they did it. That's the level of treachery we're dealing with. Now they come and jack ourselves to try pretend that they should just put one law in place far and above what we have in place already. Make them use to get done what they can do according to them with the present laws that are on the book. The whole idiot or fools them guys think they talk to. Are they serious? We have the Constitution that authorizes them the privilege to put an SOE in place. An SOE is not enough. The things that the court been telling them that they were doing wrong, and we were telling them that they were doing wrong, they did not try to correct it. What I want to do now is to give themselves additional powers so they can continue doing the same craziness. Only that now they say, well, whatever was done before, whatever is being done now, and whatever will be done later on in the future, so long as they deem it to be legal, regardless of the fact that it was illegal, it is legal. And if the police officer they commit any assault on the public, they can be excused because they're trying to get their job done, and it requires them, according to them, to brutalize civilians with impunity. That's a bunch of hard work.
Mr. Brackett, the last sentence that you mentioned just now, here in Belizean affairs, we always say these people do what?
Tell on themselves.
On each other.
The last sentence you said just now about the police brutalizing people, I want you, the public, and at home and abroad, to hear why this common assault bill was passed. In reality, it was said it was to protect magistrates and judges, to protect firemen, BDF, the police, teachers, custom officers, but I will tell you why the bill was passed. Only for the elite above, as you will hear the then foreign minister expressively said what the bill is to be used for. Remember now what they said the bill was going to be, but I want you to hear how he points it out. Let's go to the tape.
Or in a private enclosure or ground is guilty of an offense. What Senator Perifete described, his example of having a barbecue, drinking with his friends, behaving the way he usually behaves, he would be guilty of an offense today. Now let us look at what the bill proposes to do, Madam President. It says, first of all, we are going to repeal the provision that I just read. Now look at what the proposal says. A person who uses any threatening, abusive, profane, obscene, indecent, or insulting words or behavior, which is what is in the law at the moment, whether calculated to lead to a breach of the peace or not, which is in the law at the present, such several offenses being committed in a street or public place or in a private enclosure or ground, which is what is in the law at the moment, whether directly or within the hearing of. Now recall what I read. The law as it stands today does not have any category, does not have any class. It says anybody who do them things and anybody hear it, anywhere, it's an offense. There is now these limiting words. If you do it within the hearing of a person acting as a judicial officer and legal officer or a peace officer. So it has to be not a police officer walking down the road. He has to be performing his functions. And this happens. Then an offense is committed. And look at the rest of them. A member of the Belize Defense Force in the course of his duty. Coast Guard in the course of his duty. Immigration officer in the course of his duty. And it continues. Custom officer, National Fire Service, public officer, prison officer, teacher, member of the media. And then we can discuss elected officials. So this is limiting the provision that is on the books today and saying when these public officers, whether they be police, BDF, Coast Guard, a judge, etc., are performing their functions, it is an offense to hurl offensive, abusive, insulting words or to conduct yourself in such a way. It is seeking to address a problem, a mischief that we have, where immigration officers or police officers conduct searches and they are being abused by people in the course of their duty, not walking down when you're having a barbecue. And so, Madam President, I want to say to honorable senators that this is reducing the scope of what is actually on the books of the law books of the country today. It is only applicable where the person is in the course of his or her duty. It is absolutely essential. The complaints from these officers are many. The abuse they receive when they are performing their functions. In relation to 11, an elected official, I am entirely open to having a discussion in the committee of the whole Senate when this bill is being considered as to whether members think it should include senators or to be removed at all. Other than that, Madam President, I commend the bill to the Senate and ask that the question.
Now, people at home and abroad and gentlemen, you heard what he said. Do the police force need protection from the public? No, imagine.
The public need protection from the police force. Got they're running roughshod. Anyhow, sorry about it.
So you see how these
Crazy.
unconstitutional bills are passed? No. When he speak about prison officers and teachers and firemen, those were only included to get the bill passed, as though they want to protect them. But the bill was specifically made to protect magistrates and judges. They include police officers, and you heard them, elected official. So in other words, as a politician, when you elect a minister, you do not have the right to approach him and tell him nothing. Because if he feels threatened, that's a common assault, and you can end up with 3 years in jail. So this is the type of thing that is happening in Belize today. This is why the 13th Amendment that they are trying to pass should not be passed. Because what they're trying to do is forcefully take away your constitutional right and silence you. And this will be straight across the board as the draconian gun law that is also unconstitutional. The gun law was supposed to be made for gang members. But after the law was passed retroactively, they use it. Grandmother going to jail, student going to jail. So they did the flip. They flipped the script. And you know what? They came back to the Constitution, and everybody is equal under Section 6. So the law within itself is for everyone. I go to you first, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You listen to that guy. Let me go back to Ms. Smith, eloquently put together. And she mentioned the 3 years that one can get if they commit the offenses that the Courtney guy says, the boss man, right? And I'm pretty sure, Mr. Chairman, that there are other senators there that these senators, they're not stupid. They're sensible people. And I think that they're there for the will of the people and want to see good and there for people and nation and want to see good. They're not about a UDP or a PUP, right? But it's so sad to see that all these senators, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, and my people, they listen to that Mr. Courtney guy, right? And every one of them was okay with that bill because the bill passed, right? But although they reel up, right, about, and like I said, these people are not stupid people. They speak about the wrongs that is in the damn bill. But yet these smart people, they're okay with that. The bill passes anyway, right? So what you take out of that? All I can say that this Mr. Courtney guy, he did a good job in rounding up these senators, right? He rounded them up before they sat in that Senate, right? And who knows what kind of deal they had made. And sadly, Ms. Smith talked about the 3 years. The gun law that this draconian gun law is something similar, but this one, you get 7 years. 7. If one, show up to court, right? For whatever reason, show up for a hearing, you get 7 years. So, and who are these people that are going to be affected on that first clip you played on all the items the Courtney guy mentioned? Who are the people that is more likely to be affected then? And now the 13th Amendment. Who are the people that are more likely to be affected? So, Mr. Chairman, you always talk about a discriminatory government. This People's United Party is a discriminatory government. Right? So, and to top it off, Mr. Chairman, this, let me prove my point. This past bill and this bill now that is so concerning to the public, the well-to-do, Mr. Chairman, not have to worry about it, Because why? They can fight all the way to the courts with good representation. Does the little black boy from Southside could do that? Right? So my point is that I just hope that the people, Belizean people, see this government for who they are and see the draconian laws that they're passing just to hold on to power, right? Just to hold on to power. So sad, but it is what it is. And Mr. Chairman, with this super majority they have, who knows what other portion of society will be targeted. Who knows with this super majority that they have. And it's so, let me finish up, Mr. Chairman, quickly. You see that man, Mr. Courtney? That man is very bad for Belize. And he's a Belizean, in my humble opinion. He is very bad for Belize, based on the things that he had said, based on the things that he does, and all in the name of power and money. Very bad for Belize. You could not like what I says, I could care less, but that's how I feel. back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. What is so surprising about the common assault bill that he just mentioned? Why would you make a law to protect the police that is abusing people?
Hello?
Make it make sense to me. That is not ringing a bell. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. But indeed, we have laws on the book already, like he was intimating, that deals with those things. So then why try to pass these extra laws? Simple. Power grab. Simple, simple. Power grab. They're trying to appropriate unto themselves some powers that are reserved according to the Constitution in the hands of the plebiscite or of the people. We, the people, still retain certain powers that guarantee our rights and that forbids the government from being able to appropriate those powers or trample on those powers without our acquiescence or
Mr.
agreement.
Brackett, if I may, I
Go ahead,
want
Mr.
you to
Chairman.
put this in your thought. I don't have to go back to the tape, but I hope the people at home and abroad is listening, because you heard what he said about the common assault bill that was passed and the protection for police. He said when these police go to arrest people, individuals, people is coming out at them and cursing them out. So that people he's mentioning is the regular citizen, not the individual who they are going to arrest. So people, be aware of what we are stating here tonight and Belizean affair. That is why you must be careful about this 13th Amendment, because in reality, the law is not going to be made for gangbangers. The law will be made, like Ms. Smith said, to entrap other individuals. And a prime example is the teachers' union just had a strike. Let's say this law passed and they're out there striking and they get disorderly. They can just go ahead and implement the new law, and guess what happened? Just like Ms. Smith said, they can pick them up and lock them up. I go back to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would say that currently nobody has the right to assault a police officer or to cause any harm to a police officer because we have laws on the book that deals with those matters. Okay?
Amen to that.
So when that gentleman is going to bring that up as a side deal to justify the draconian and onerous laws that they're trying to put in place, he's trying to bamboozle the uninformed. Because he, as a lawyer, knows that there are those laws on the book right currently. In fact, he alluded to some of them. He read some of them, and he stated after he read them that they were already on the book. So why the hell are they trying to criminalize people by creating these other what the Constitution called other laws that are null and void? Why? Because they get compromised judges who entertain these nonsense and victimize. After the police then victimize the people them and charge them with bogus charges, you get the compromised judges who are under contract, who doesn't want to fall foul of the government and want to appear to be doing favors for the government, and they rule against the law. They don't rule as according to the Constitution or according to the laws, or established laws. Many of the cases that have been ruled on recently have been ruled contrary to what all existing standard of legal practice has been. Why? Because the judge is entitled to make a ruling But those rulings did not comport to the standards. It did not comport to what we call settled laws that have gone to the Supreme Court, High Court, the Appellate Court, and the regional jurisdictional final appellate level at the CCJ. So, for all intents and purposes, so long as it serves the government purpose or it appears to work for the government, then it's all right. They don't care who all get victimized. Look at how the police go out and aggress these people when they go into the black neighborhoods. Them, you ever see them do that when they go when they go arrest any lawyers, or when they go and arrest any moneyed people? In fact, they allow them to come in with their lawyers. They don't go hustle them or hunt them down. But watch how they go and operate when they go to the black people in the neighborhood. Then go 3, 4, 5 different truckload of people, and they go in there like stormtroopers, like Gestapos, okay? And then run as strong and beat up people and do all kind of craziness. Then they complain about, well, the people, they cuss them out. The people, they know what's right and what's wrong, but they can't do nothing about it. But then they want to do the wrong behavior, and the people, then they complain about the behavior. So they call that now being able to, under this new pretext, levy a different charge that you could go to jail for 3 years, without having any ability to get a lawyer to represent you or do anything for you. It's all onerous rules and regulations that they're making that are contrary to the Constitution. And they all know that. But these people that they're targeting don't have any money to pay no lawyer to look after their interests. That's why some of them sit in jail for days, for weeks, for months, for years. As in the case of these other guys that are there, that was, who's to tell? The way that case was presented initially, it had seemed like a open and shut case. Why didn't they prosecute the case? Instead of holding them people there for 15 years in a jail, which would have probably been longer than the time that they would have spent if the case was heard and the ruling was made and they were given their sentences. They would not have had to spend 15 years sitting in jail only to be, well, not exonerated, but at least being told that they can't prosecute them anymore for lack of evidence. The lack of evidence was from the very beginning of the process. They did not do a proper
Mr. Brackett, Mr. Brackett, let's not forget, sir, that is the form of conviction that is used in this country. You have some of these young men sit down and remand for 7 years. You had a young man that spent 21 years in the prison system and never came to court.
And many of them end up in a what they call the hole, right? Then go in a jail there under false pretext, but then brutalize them and do all kind. When one of the young man came out, the young man was like a crazy person. Okay, he went in there as a sane person and came out as a person without his without no. But to another point of reference, when they talk about this this bill that the unelected one was talking about, he has the gall to talk about this bill, and then you have police officers, as in the case, the one that we saw and we spoke about on our platform when it happened. The young man went to the police station to inquire about some information regarding one of his worker.
Ladyville.
And the lady police can tell the man, since he come now to the police station, he will not be able to cross that door and go back out of that police station because she wants to have him locked down because he offended her by merely being there or by merely asking the questions about what he can do to help his employee or to get his employee freed. Then the other police officer, instead of he chastised the female police officer that was carrying on unduly, pretending that, well, this new law will help her to hide behind and claim that this gentleman, it's a good thing the gentleman was taping. So at least we were able to see part of it. That had the gentleman not been taping, she could have just alleged whatever she wanted to allege, as she stipulated she was going to allege anyhow. And who was going to be arguing against that? Because everybody going to take the police officer word against any, other civilian. That's the way they roll. And then the next police officer, instead of he tell the female police officer, well, you're going overboard, you're exaggerating, you're lying, you're whatever, he gonna go and assault the gentleman too on behalf of the female police officer. In other words, he go back for him rogue police officer and assault the gentleman, grab his camera, and try to stop him from tape to make you keep the evidence for yourself.
But again, as I stated, Mr. Brackett, you are making laws to protect the police, so why hire timid police? That is why crime will never go away.
They're not just timid, Mr. Chairman. They're scofflaw. As the case that
But
just
I'm
described,
saying
they're
in
hiding behind the
reality,
law. They're committing crime and hiding behind the law. That's
I'm
criminal.
saying in reality, though, sir, then you need to pass a policy that you need to be a certain weight, a certain height, in order to become a police officer. Then you don't have to make these types of law. Because we are seeing now, and we never look at it, nobody have ever listened to what he had to say until tonight. I'm pointing it out. That is why we have no crime control. But let's go to the next tape.
This is why I believe that I want to beg, I want to implore on the public to support the police department, to stand with the police department as a united front, as a resolute support of the amendment of the gang and gun laws that is being proposed in the 13th Amendment of the Constitution. I do believe that the 13th Amendment is a needed enhancement of the legislation that will assist us not only in protecting the community and in ensuring that the rule of law is upheld, but also in assisting us to dismantle the entrenched network of violence that exists. I do support that we have a number of citizens, including the at-risk communities, who have demonstrated positive response to rehabilitative and preventative programs. But we do have a minority, a hardened minority, who is hell-bent, who will do whatever it takes. And they have demonstrated that they will continue their criminality, and we cannot allow these few, dangerous few, to hold the country hostage.
But sir, if this is a policing failure, then how can you seek to go extra constitutionally or extra legally to solve a problem just because policing wise you all are unable to solve it?
As a law enforcement agency, we will use all available legal framework available to us to break the cycle of violence.
They're using illegal behavior and tactics.
Gentlemen and
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, I want to say this straight out. The draconian gun law have not worked, as we can tell. The crime control law under Section 25 and 22 of the Drug and Firearm Act that gives the police the right to search upon reasonable suspicion, and they can do a warrantless search, have not worked. And this 13th Amendment will not work either. And I will tell you why it will not work. It will not work until we teach our police officers how to write statements. It will not work until our government upgrade our judicial department, where we have less than 5% conviction. It will not work because the common assault law, that the common assault bill that they pass into law to protect magistrates and judges is not working either. It will not work because we already have laws on the book, including a law for gangs that if you are a member, you spend 10 years upon conviction. If you are a leader, you spend 20 years upon conviction. How much conviction has the government or the police ever had gotten upon that law? So, like those laws, the 13th Amendment will not work. And before I go to you guys, I want to go to the police minister so they can tell on themselves.
In an urgent fashion. But there's also the issue of the gang legislation that Sabrina is referring to. Under our current laws, if you are found guilty of being the member of a gang, you are supposed to get a 10-year sentence for being the member of a gang. If you are a leader of a gang, you are supposed to, under our legislation, get a 20-year sentence. Imagine that. But what we find happening at our magistrates court level, and I can't knock our magistrates because perhaps some of them are in fear of their own lives, is the fact that when a defendant pleads guilty to being a member of a gang, we do not see a 10-year sentence. That's a reality. What we see is a $1,000 fine or a $2,000 fine. No kind of prison sentence whatsoever, when in fact this is one of the big problems in our society when it comes to crime and violence, is these guys in an urgent fashion. But there's also the issue of the...
So now, gentlemen and people at home and abroad, you are telling on yourself. You are saying what the problem is, but you want to hold the people hostage, take away their fundamental rights for something that you have and the government have, crime fighting tool that is not working. Now, can you imagine that? You have the tool and it's not working. Like I mentioned before, less than 5% conviction rate. How much individual have you convicted and they went to jail under this law? None. Absolutely none. And you said you're not knocking your magistrate because they might be scared. Then why did you make the common assault law that is passed to protect these magistrate and judge? If that is not working, then what make you think the 13th Amendment will work? I go to you first, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I over my years, I watch these guys, with the powers that the people entrust them, to take care of the people's affairs, and the country's affairs. And I watch them, how they behave, right? I had mentioned in the Senate there that these people know right from wrong. They are smart people. This man is a very smart man. The Musa guy. I would never call these people honorable. That's a problem I have. right? This Musa guy elected. Um, he knows what the problem is, and but what they're trying to do now. I was blaming the people instead of and not only blaming the people, subjecting the people to
Yes, so
to
he is.
onerous laws that they are making,
Mhm.
to bad behavior of their will, right? They're not behaving the way they should behave, and they're finding all kinds of fault before they do the right thing. All kinds of fault, and blaming the people and subjecting the people, right? Like you said, Mr. Chairman, there are laws already, Leonard. There are laws already in the books, Constitution clearly. You know, there are laws. You know, um, you hear him. With a whole bunch of crap, right? So yeah, if you know what the problem is, Mr. Musa, fix it now, because you, along with the outgoing commissioner, says, "Oh, no, know who these bad people are, and there are very few of them, and we know them." But what you do, right? What you do? Subject the country and subject people to your shortcomings, right? Instead of you do the right thing. You said there are laws already, there are penalty. I know that, right? So why? Why just don't do the right thing? Why are you afraid to do the right thing? Are you being threatened to, along with the magistrates? That's why you behave in the way you behave. You're not carrying out your function that you are duly elected to do because you're afraid. So if you're afraid, you're not business to sit in that seat, right? In terms of doing the right thing. And as for the commissioner of police, you know, as a former
Oh,
policeman, before you, Mr. Commissioner, right? You fall very short, right? Very short, right? Um, you could be out there, you know, doing illegal things to people, unlawful things to people, and see what will happen to the police force,
make you
right?
ask the former police
Right.
commissioner.
So you're falling right in line, and you fail to answer the question that Jules put to you, right? You're falling right in line with your police minister, right? And as that portion of society that the small majority that you know them. So why the hell you don't go and arrest them and charge them and persecute them to the full extent of the law,
Because he's negotiating with
right?
them in the LIU, Mr. Wade.
Why don't you do that, Mr. Man? Please listen to how you talk, man.
Mhm.
Please listen to the things you say. All not very germane to the norm, to the right thing, right? So, it's so sad, like they have a saying, you get what you pay for. If you go buy a pound of rice, you get a pound of rice, right? So the Belizean people getting what they are paid for, what they're voted for, and it's so sad to see how you think that there are a vast member of the public that is in support of that 13th Amendment. I don't know where you're living. Did you count the amount of people at your town hall meeting, Mr. Man? Did you count them? Is that what you call vast majority of people that is in support? Falling short, Mr. Commissioner, please
They
be very
consulted, Mr.
mindful.
Wade. They consulted, sir.
Yes, it's so sad. And Mr. Chairman, I'm so happy that you could show and tell to the Belizean people, and like you always say, and we always say, they tell on themselves, but who believe these people? So again, my people, wake up, open your eyes, smell the coffee. The worst
Thank
is yet to come. Back to you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Mr. Reid, Mr. Brackett.
I'd like to go directly at the commissioner, or new commissioner, by the way, because there's a tendency once in a while to refer to the former commissioner and some of the dastardly things that he used to do that he used to get but flagged for. Okay? But I'm referring to the present new commissioner who comes in now with guns blazing, pretending that he can be better than the former commissioner. He can talk up the one good talk, and he can threaten what he could do and what he could do and how tough he can be. And I'll tell you something right up on this program. He only can be as tough as when the next few bullets start hit the house, like when it happened to Chester. The only sort that gets softened up when people take the law into their hand and decide to take on the lawman and do what they have to do in defense of their own self-preservation. Because these jackals and idiots are drunk with power, and they're not using the power of state that is vested in them to do legal and lawful police work. They hide behind that massive power of state, and they commit crimes, and then know they want to be exculpated from the crimes that they have already committed and be excused for the future crimes that they are hoping to commit. What kind of idiot is he talking like that in public? Does he believe that the people that are hearing what he is saying have any more respect for him and would want to support him and the rest of the police officers them who do need the public support to help them with their crime fighting activities, but who have no faith in them because of how dastardly they behave?
Oh, short.
Respect is not something that falls out the sky and hits you in the head and all of a sudden you become respectable or you start respect, or that people can beat you into submission. Slavery happened for hundreds of years, and those slaves are still existing today and survive it all and don't have any more respect for the enslaved master now than they had back then. So how is Jackal one come with the foolishness to talk about what kind of powers he could exert to make sure that them people that are being accused, because remember, the Constitution says that if you are suspected of a crime or somebody alleged that you have committed a crime, until you are proven guilty, you're innocent. But this jackal is talking like he don't know that there's a constitution, or maybe he know that there's one, but maybe like Britannia, his taskmaster, have no respect or regards for it. I mean, that's another possibility. But that does not mean that if they continue going down this bad road, they won't find resistance. Because all of us as human beings are not made in such a way that we all tolerate the same or have the same level of tolerance to brutality and abuse. Some of us take it into our hands and we go crazy just like the idiots then when they try to go crazy from away. And our country don't need to be pushed into that direction because of a few knuckleheads who don't got no sense. The man got a doctorate, okay? And still he's talking that kind of craziness there. Like the doctorate where you have, let me get off of that. I think the gentleman needs to be advised properly. I think he should keep maybe a couple more of the other people that were retiring or, bring them in again as deputies. Okay, you got a CEO, you got one, what the man one advisor, a special advisor to the CEO. You need to get a few more of those guys that are retiring and taking with them the institutional knowledge and understanding about how police work is supposed to be done. That, I think, is the problem. They are leaving most of these people to go to the pasture. They're not even giving them the retirement benefits and things. So then how would they be able to afford what I'm trying to propose that they do? That is, bring back some of those guys on a special contract to assist, to guide the younger generations, to try and stop them from being onerous with their behavior, from going out there and brutalizing civilians and acting crazy.
No, No, Mr. Brackett, not to cut you short, sir.
Go right ahead, Mr. Chairman.
The government, society has to do with what is happening. And I will tell you why. Regardless of whatever crime one committed by choice, we all have our own choices and we make them good or bad. But when you do that and you pay your debts to society, you should still be guaranteed equal protection per our constitution.
That's what it says.
But these fools are not trying to do that. And they keep harassing these young men. So how can they change? They can't get a job. They are not trying to help them in any way. Then they help to create it. What about the 14-year-old who they put in jail around grown men?
Somebody need to go to jail for that. And I hope that
so let's put it out there. And we are speaking about a government. What if our retirees or pensioners would go sick right now and pick up a gun for waiting 30 and 35 years to get their money that is owed to them after they had did their services?
The first thing, Mr. Chairman,
to the public.
Two wrong don't make a right. That's the first thing I hear the so-called rational people say.
But then you have these people dying and not getting what they rightfully deserve.
And their families don't get it after they die either. Okay?
So we need to look at the bigger picture. And to look at the bigger pictures, we have to hold our elected officials accountable, especially when they are trying to violate fundamental rights that are protected by our Constitution. And to prove what I'm saying...
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can you allow me to make a statement, sir? It may not necessarily be directly in line with what we're discussing right now, but it's a critical, important statement that needs to be made. We need accountability from the top going down, from the Prime Minister, members of Cabinet, all the elected officials. None of them should get paid if they don't submit the records that they're supposed to be submitting for a review of their financial status. Okay? There's a requirement by the government that all those personnel at that level supposed to submit to a specific group those kind of report, and if they don't submit those what, they're not supposed to get their paycheck. Okay, that's part of the requirement. If you don't fulfill the obligation, you don't get paid for what you haven't done right. And I hope that somehow or another somebody jump on that and make it happen.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
No. Mr. Chairman, let me one statement. And Mr. Chairman, you said hold them accountable. They already passed laws that you cannot hold them accountable.
No, to you, the people at home and abroad, and gentlemen, I want to show you again the double standards of our present government and how they go about keeping the people living in this designer system that they have created as to not want to help them, even though they know better. Let's go back to the past government when they had the Petro-Carib agreement. And I want you to hear what our present foreign minister had to say that he is not saying now.
The bottom line with the Petro-Carib loan motion is we are not interested in any amendments. The resounding cry and call from the Belizean people. It has come from the Chamber of Commerce. It has come from the National Trade Union Congress of Belize. It has come from APAMO. all of these entities have called for the repeal of this act, this Petro-Carib Loans Act. Not amendment, not fixing it, repealing it. This is a law that cannot be fixed. It is a law that must go, it must be repealed. It is a law all about Mr. Barrow, again, his ego, protecting him above the law, not answerable to anybody. He listens to nobody and answers to nobody. That is Dean Barrow, the Prime Minister of this country. And this law is all about him, all about him, all about covering up for him, protecting himself. That is what this law is all about. And these amendments are absolutely not acceptable to us and not acceptable to the Belizean people. And so we reject them, and we continue to demand that this Petro-Carib Loans Act be repealed, be fully repealed. We are prepared to offer, as we were today, to offer proper suggestions and recommendations for what can be put in place to replace this Petro-Carib Loans Act.
Gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, and where we are today, know that he's the part of the present government. We're over 2 billion plus, okay?
But Mr. Brackett and people at home and abroad, I played to show double standard. That was for Petro-Carib. Now, this law you are trying to pass, Mr. Man, is worse than the one you was asking to get rid of, which was the Petro-Carib. You are actually trying to do a 13th Amendment to violate the people's right when you know better by what you just said against the Petro-Carib. Mr. Wade, I go to you.
I laugh, because it's so that just one item that they had condemned when they were in opposition, and just one item that they say that they will do better, right? So what happened, Mr. Chairman, to UNCAC, right? What you say you was going to do when you were in opposition. What happened to bring in the price of fuel down when you were in opposition? Where we at now, 2025? You're the government now, Mr. Fonseca, right?
Mr. Sir, they're not Fonseca, the Funds Taker.
The FUNDS.
Funds Taker.
Yes, sir.
They're not Fonseca.
You see how these guys, Mr. Chairman, you see how these guys behave, right? And how they, they politics and everything, instead of doing the right thing. But there you go, he politics in, right there on that. And damn well, that's
Mr. Wade, the point of playing the tape is because I wanted to show how he was adamant at repealing the Petro-Carib Act from the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And now he wants to go and violate the Constitution when there is no opposition to stand up for the people's right, when what they are calling consultation with empty buildings, and they are talking about the people agree instead of having a plebiscite or a referendum. Why not have a referendum?
They're scared of it. They don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, Mr. Chairman.
You see what I'm saying, people at home and abroad? Because, gentlemen, nobody has said it better than Mr. Vasquez, and we will go to open floor after this.
The whip of slavery may be gone, but the manipulation and the marginalization of the colonial system endures.
The 13th Amendment is a very good example of how
The 13th Amendment is saying 200 years later, we will no longer use the crack of the whip. We will use the police department to suppress and reduce you to a subhuman state. You are like animals to be penned in. The 13th Amendment is a confession of total failure of policing of all political strategies for development. It is saying we give up. We just make war upon you. And if you want to challenge in a court, you can't. You all are not entitled to the courts. The courts are for us. That's true. The political class, the business class. So I think we just have to be very real about that. And I think that the history of slavery in Belize and emancipation has to be marked. But I really don't agree with doing it on the slave master's day, on the false day of freedom that the slave master gave. I think you're legitimizing what they did when you do that. Just my opinion.
Definitely.
Often wrong. But what?
Couldn't have said it any better. Mr. Brackett, I go to you first. 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As regards to this 13th Amendment, it is good to see that a lot of people are now waking up and stepping to the plate and trying to be of some assistance to put pressure on the government for them to back off of this transgression. Because this transgression is not about them suffering any consequences for violating our constitution or to try and be onerous and have other people suffer consequences, some of them innocently and or not being guilty of the crimes that they are being deemed to be guilty of, or that they are being classified. Because most of the problem is one of classification. Then deem you, classify you, and then penalize you without even convicting you. But at the end of the day, it's all about punitive measures. How come none of those laws that they're making, which when they make law, it's supposed to apply to everybody? That's the way the Constitution says. Any law that is made, for it to be constitutionally correct or proper, it cannot be targeting to any one person or specific group of people, because that amounts to discrimination, whether rightfully or wrongfully. At the end of the day, it's unconstitutional. But the bottom line is, these people are doing these things to us, the civilians, because we dare to entrust them over and over and over with our elected powers. So once they become elected, they just turn their back on us and they go ahead and just howl and scrape and, rang and strong and do whatever they want to do, for themselves mostly, and to hell with us. And that's the part that grieves me, because at the end of the day, I don't think that no person, just because they're 60% poverty level, should have to be sat on by other individuals who are actually just milking them, okay, and enjoying the sweets of the society. I don't have a problem with them enjoying the sweets of the society, but that doesn't mean that you have to be so extra onerous to the rest of the people that you have to decriminalize them and make their life more of a living hell than anything else. It's bad enough you're not bringing in or stirring up the economic part so that other people can benefit from it. It's bad enough that you're keeping the economic pie so small and don't allow it to grow so that others can get a little crumbs falling off of whatever slices you take for yourself. The problem is that you want to turn around and be onerous enough to the point of criminalizing people's wishes and efforts to try and survive the very crimes that you are committing against them. And you ought to pay some penalty for that. There ought to be some consequences for that type of behavior. And until we get to that point where consequences are had, these guys are going to continue running roughshod and believe that, they're untouchable. And the end result is that when people do end up touching them, somebody gonna holler and say, well, two wrongs don't make a right. You shouldn't target people personally. If you don't like their policies, grin and bear or die quicker and go away. You shouldn't have to depend on your own sense of survival and try to deal with anybody that's being onerous to you. No. Sit down in a corner, suck your finger, and go to sleep and die quickly. Okay? That's the medicine. I yield back, Mr. Chairman, and I think that's the last of my comments for tonight because
thank you.
I feel like my collar is getting a little warm,
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wade, I will go to you after this clip. It's important to play it, and I want you to do your comment, sir, and do the closing from there.
One teacher teach me in a primary school that when you lose the High Court, you got a Court of Appeal. And then after Court of Appeal, you got a CCJ. The teacher never teach me that when you lose the High Court, you got to change the Constitution to make it suit you. So that's where we are with the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment is saying, hey, yo, we recognize that we failed. We recognize that legal recourse by virtue of appeal will not likely be successful because there's no evidence that you could take to the Court of Appeal that would convince those people that, oh, the SOE was properly in order, And if you do convince them, the law in the Caribbean is very clear about when you trigger SOE and the criteria. So when you go to the CCJ without any evidence, because you can't add new evidence now, you can't change the game now. You can't say, oh, sorry, we need for giving you the insight where we never given you at the High Court, you can't do that. So when they would have gone to the CCJ would have ruled it how they saw it. But I think they don't see that game. You don't need law degree to realize what would have happened there. So they say we got a supermajority, let's change the law. And this is what frightens me. This is why I started with that little prose. Because today the proposal is to change the law to ratify the SOE actions. But that can be a slippery slope.
Mr. Wade, I go to you, sir.
Yeah, that gentleman there, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, he put, at least he's seeing the truth, no? And at least he is willing to be vocal about it and put it into context. Right? And I applaud him. We had on our program previously, we had uttered similar sentiments, and the way we see it, it's so sad to see that. I say this again, to see the level that this government is going, the level they're stooped to corral certain portion of society. And what will they gain from that? I don't know, but they have an agenda. And Mr. Chairman, it's so sad to see that this government here is afraid of referendum, right? For what? Why? I mean, I hope that the people and the nation take heed on that, because, I mean, then where is your rights? Where do you and how do you get to involve yourself with the ills of the country and with the ills of the performance of your government, except through a referendum, right? And if this government is blocking referendum left, right, and center. What is that telling you? What is that telling you, my people?
They're a bunch of scoundrels.
Mr. Wade, it is telling us they are a illegitimate government and they are a no confidence government.
See, so I just and it's so sad to see that how these very same people who are doing all these illegal planning on the people and nation will come back to the very same people that they have performed these illegal acts on. They will come back begging you again. And what they will come and say, Miss Joe and Mr. Joe and so, we're sorry, but, vote for we again, and then we will undo it. We don't like it where may happen. Vote for we again, and this time we will undo it and we'll make it better.
Mr. Wade, then just did it a second time to us. Then did it in 20. Then said and make the changes. Then got elected. And now then they come back again and got elected again on the same promise.
Mr. Chairman and Leonard, at the top real, right? At the top real, right? We try to open the eyes of the Belizean people, right? To see, showing them the actions of their government and showing them who are the one that this very same government that you put in power are targeting. You, the same people who gave them that power, then they come back and target you. Very same people. Constitution says clearly how and when and why you can call a state of emergency. There are certain criteria clearly stated, right? But here you see a government them bending all kinds of way and coming and finding a way to target a certain portion of society, right? You don't see them putting a SOE in Fort George.
No.
You don't see them putting an SOE in Orange Walk, Central where Briseño live.
Or Corozal, for that.
Or Corozal, where Marin live.
Or even in Bengapan. Or even in Bengapan. Or Cayo. We have murders.
Do you see that happening? Come on, open your eyes. Look on the continuous habitual practice. And why are they doing it? Right? Why? That's and they clearly says, Mr. Chairman, like you said, they always tell on themselves, they know who the bad actors are. They know who the bad boss man of the gangs are.
They have them on payroll.
Right? So, Mr. Rosado, why don't you go and arrest these people that you talk, the very minority that you talk about, the bad ones that you talk about, because you know them, Mr. Musa. Why don't you hold these people accountable and get them out of society? The laws is there for you, giving you that mandate and that power to do that.
Some of them are their bodies who help them with electioneering.
Like I always says, you have a PUP gang and a UDP gang in the nation of Belize, right? But, Mr. Chairman, I'll end this by saying, my people, open your eyes. And Jules could never have said it better. These are things that we talk about. We talk about how things are going to happen and how it is happening, right? We talk about it because we see. Is it good for us? We talk about it. Is it bad for us? We talk about it, right? So my people, open your eyes, and I hope that tonight's program that the chairman present, open your eyes and shed some light and show you where your leaders are taking you and showing you that the very same things that they're saying, if it is good or bad for you. So, to our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad, and those who will view us later.
Before you do the closing, sir, we need to ask the government, will they do an amendment to the Constitution for all the traffic accident that is happening, because more people are dying from traffic accident than what the alleged gang is doing.
State of emergency.
Right on that. And on that note, also, I like to ask Mr. Briceño, are you going to have a referendum on the changes for the Constitution? Whether yes or no, right? I ask you that. And when are you going to do redistricting? Is it going to be after your next election, like you said? Or you are going to do redistricting?
Never.
You have had a couple of illegal elections held in the country of Belize. Are you going to hold another illegal election?
Yes.
Right? So that is my 2 cents, Mr. Briceño. Tell the Belizean people if you're going to do redistricting before your next illegal election is held, or are you going to have a referendum on the proposed changes for the Constitution?
Mr. Weird,
On that note,
you get too tough on the man, you get too hard on the man, you get too much hard clients for broke, you know.
On that note, it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, Mr. Chairman, Leonard, my people, both at home and abroad, we don't get paid to do what we do, but we are true patriot, and we are true Belizean, right? And we are not afraid to speak on the ills. Nobody hold a gun to our head. We're not in the background shouting and shouting. No, see, we are here stating how we feel and how we see things from our very own mouth. And on that note, I want to say good night, Mr. Chairman.